Yandy Smith and Mendeecees Harris, a hip-hop power couple, had a peaceful sit-down that erupted into a full-fledged emotional outburst that was captured on tape. What ought to have been a calm moment for the husband and wife to work things out turned into a heated argument that left cast members were taken aback, and producers hurried to put an end to it. Insiders claim that Yandy entered the meeting prepared to voice her mounting aggravation at feeling ignored and unheard. But Mendy notices he would not accept it. In place of as he listened, he changed the narrative, accusing Yandy of emasculating him in public and using her independence as a weapon. The room became quiet. They hurled insults. There were tears. Additionally, Yandy rushed out with everyone froze when she whispered something under her breath, her microphone still hot. "I should never have wed him." The internet is now in disarray. Fans are split. Does Mendy feel insecure, or is he at last being honest? After years of loyalty, has Yandy reached her breaking point? LHHATL Season 13 just reached a level that no one anticipated, and this sit-down turned into a showdown. Yandy wasn't prepared for a confrontation when she sat down at that restaurant table. Mendeecees, however, arrived in armor. From the first minute on, the energy was tense. There was a heavy stillness that suggested something wasn't right, without any warmth or smiles. The producers had anticipated that this would be a straightforward relationship check-in, an adult conversation that would help ease the subtle tension that had been developing. The season between them. However, what they received was a ticking time bomb filled with years of emotional debt, shattered egos, and unsaid bitterness. Yandy started things off softly. After thanking Mendeecees for coming, she slipped into her worries as if she were tiptoeing through a labyrinth. She started recently. "As your wife, a mother, and a businesswoman, I feel like I'm accomplishing a lot, yet I'm not feeling appreciated. You're not a bad man, mind you. I'm expressing that I feel as though I'm vanishing into your shadow. Exhaustion, not fear, was the reason." Her voice wavered, but Mendy notices. He failed to blink. With his mouth clenched, he leaned back and crossed his arms. "So I'm the issue now. I get home. I turn up. I'm not a liar. I'm making you invisible right now." Yandy stopped. She did not say that, but she recognized that tone. On defense, injured, prepared to attack, she reattempted. "It is not that easy. You appear not just physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. I've got us on my back." It snapped at that point. Mendeecees gently banged his hand on the table, loud enough to cause the cameras to tremble, but not forceful enough to be violent. "Yandy, that's the cap. You seem to be the only one with the force. As if I were stress-free. As in I don't give up anything. You deserve praise for being a powerful lady. But when will I be able to take a breath?" The room was empty of air. Even the crew seems uneasy. This wasn't acting for TV. This was the boiling over of real-life pain. Tears filled Yandy's eyes. She did not scream. She did not swear. "You don't have to compete," she replied in a whisper. He said, cold, "Maybe I'm tired of always feeling like the weak one just because I don't talk like you or move like you. I'm not your enemy. I just want a partner who lifts me up when I'm tired, instead of making me feel guilty for being strong." There was a deafening hush. "Maybe you enjoy being the star." At that moment, Yandy got up. "The cameras and microphone are still in operation. You think I like carrying the weight? I look you in the eye," she added. "Do it because I have to, not because I want to. And if you can't see that, maybe we don't belong at the same table anymore," she said, turning to go, but the microphone caught her whispering, "I ought never to have wed him." And that was all it required. Twitter blew out. Instagram was inundated with reposts. The clip was stitched in real time by TikTok developers. The fan base was disorganized. Was this the start of the end for LHHATL? Most reliable pair? Producers realized they had hit gold when Yandy's mic drop entered the editing room. However, the consequences in real life was devastating. Yandy allegedly did not answer any calls from Mendeecees after leaving the tent sit-down. 3 days in VH1, not even from fellow cast members, no texts or replies. It wasn't a glitzy commercial or selfie when she eventually uploaded to Instagram. There were 3 words on a black square: "I'm not well." That summed it up. When Mendeecees returned to New York City, his story was quite different. He had been complaining off camera for weeks about feeling mistreated in his own marriage. According to those close to the production team, "It's like I'm just the guy who messed up and," he said in a producer Fans didn't agree with that reasoning though. Now I'm always one step behind her. No matter what I do, it's not enough. When's my redemption arc? Social media erupted when that line was leaked. A redemptive arc? Do you mean following her? It was down when you worked. This is not a Marvel film, sir. The majority of the supporters weren't on his side. Yandy, meanwhile, was speaking volumes with her silence. She withdrew from a brand collaboration and canceled her appearance on a panel of Black women entrepreneurs in Atlanta. Shoot. And it's said she told her staff that, for once, she needed time to relax and not be tough. For once, the words "not be strong" stayed with people. It had a deep, agonizing resonance. Her site was inundated with words of love, support, and unity from women across the nation, particularly Black women. Yandy, "It's okay to fall apart when you've been the glue for too long," was one of the comments that went viral. Back at VH1, the LHA Season 13 arc was being subtly altered. What started out as a mid-season fluff plot turned into the most poignant and realistic narrative the brand had ever seen. Ages, put aside forced friendships and small grudges. The audience was unable to turn away from this unvarnished matrimonial drama. Yandy eventually consented to a one-on-one confessional that week. She entered, took a seat, and stared glamorously into the camera. Only the truth, no stylist. "I never imagined that I would ask us. Not after everything we've experienced. However, I was broken in some way by that talk. Perhaps it had already cracked. Perhaps I simply had no desire to see it." After pausing and wiping her cheek, she murmured something that sent shivers down people's spines. "I've been faithful, but I'm not sure if I've received the kind of love I require." The episode's title came from just that line. While admirers were applauding her vulnerability, Mendeecees was strengthening his own rendition. "I love my wife. I respect her hustle, but I feel like I'm walking on eggshells in my own house. I get punished forever for my past," he said as he sat down in his own confessional. He made a valid argument, but his manner came across as defensive rather than thoughtful. "When is it okay for me to say I need support too? There's a difference between being overlooked and being insecure. Men got to learn how to sit in discomfort," tweeted Tamar Braxton. Without diverting it onto their girlfriend, the tension started to seep into the cast. At a group dinner, Carly stirred things up by asking, "Are Yandy and Mendeecees still living together?" Spice rolled her eyes. Erica Mena remained nothing, but her expression said it all. In a different interview, Yandy's close friend Keisha, who had appeared in previous seasons, said that during the sit-down, Yandy had already packed a bag and checked into a hotel. She simply needed distance, Keisha claimed, not to punish him, but to keep her peace. 3 days after the emotional sit-down, Mendeecees turned up at Yandy's hotel with cameras in tow. It wasn't faked. At that point, rumors began to circulate about whether this was merely a fight or the beginnings of a true split. He knocked once and twice, and when Yandy opened the door, her expression said it all. Shock, sadness, and a glimmer of hope she didn't want to acknowledge was still there. He had no flowers, no smooth lines, just a desperate look in his eyes and an apology that nearly came too late. The network hurried to record it. He said softly, "I just came to talk. I don't want cameras. All I want is my spouse." However, the cameras continued to record from a polite distance. Mendy tried to explain, and the talk inside the suite started out slowly and cautiously. Yandy's eyes softened, but her voice remained firm, and every time you shone, it reminded me of how I failed. I felt invisible too, not because of what you did, but because I never felt good enough after what I put you through. Mendy looked down and said, "I guess I did. I'm sorry, really am. I just wanted to feel like I was punished for surviving what you caused. Mattered." What came next was one of the most graphic sequences ever captured on LHHATL. Two people sitting in the ruins of their relationship, wondering if love alone was still enough to mend it, without any yelling or table flipping. However, Yandy disclosed the twist. She stated softly, "I talked to a lawyer and asked about separation. Not because I don't love you, but because I needed to know what peace might look like." This was something she hadn't disclosed to anyone, including producers, cast members, and even social media. "I had to ask because every time I bring up my wants, it turns into me making you feel tiny. And I'm tired of shrinking myself just to keep this marriage alive." The camera recorded Mendeecees' whole face dropping. "You serious?" he asked, astonished. She nodded. Mendeecees wiped his face and said, I didn't realize it was that bad." Yandy shrugged and said, "That's the problem. You never do." The phrase "you never do" reverberated throughout the entire episode like a warning. Therapists on Instagram went live to analyze the emotional load women bear in marriages when they are expected to bear the weight and the blame. TikTok writers weaved their own relationship stories into the moment, and viewers were deeply affected. Even though Mendeecees apologized and pledged to make amends, the damage was already being done behind the scenes. VH1 sources confirmed that Yandy was officially listed as non-committal for "she's not quitting." But don't assume she's showing up. Her team reportedly informed producers as they were filming the rest of the season. Mendeecees, on the other hand, returned to the set alone, which was unsettling. He appeared for group scenes and responded to inquiries, but it was obvious that he was on emotional autopilot, and even cast members like Spice and Carly avoided each other. The atmosphere had changed, and the pair that everyone believed to be impenetrable was clearly breaking. The tension continued outside of the hotel room as LOL Season 13 filming commenced. Yandy and Mendeecees were emotionally and physically at odds. At a group cast meal intended to foster harmony and closure, Yandy appeared by herself, wearing sunglasses indoors not because she was hiding, but because her eyes conveyed a message. Carly read, "Never one to stay quiet." Mendeecees was sitting next to Scrappy across the table, scarcely speaking, and the rest of the group walked carefully, all aware that they were watching a love story unfold in real time. Made things worse. Are we just crazy about the cameras? Or are we still single? "I'm married to myself right now. That's the only person who showed up," she said, with a sly smile. Yandy's smile was chilly. The whole room froze. Scrappy dropped his fork, Spice silently sipped her drink, and Mendeecees got up and left. Later, in a private confessional, Mendeecees broke down not with anger, but with regret. "I didn't realize that I was making her feel alone in this. I assumed I was doing enough. I suppose I believed that surviving the past was the victory. But I never created the future she deserved." It was the most vulnerable fans had ever experienced. Seen him, but public opinion had already begun to change by then. One widely shared post on X stated, "Yandy carried a marriage, a brand, a family, and when she finally spoke up, she got gaslighted. Leave sis." The article had Yandy received over 600,000 likes in a single day. Influencers, activists, and women who identified with her courage, quiet, and now unraveling, showered her with support. Yandy seized the opportunity to take action by scheduling a live therapy session on camera, not just with Mendeecees. The scene, which aired in the middle of the season and devastated fans, showed Yandy opening up honestly while seated across from a Black female therapist. "I believed that holding it down meant holding everything: the home, the heart, the hurt." The therapist nodded and said, "You can be a ride or die, Yandy, but at some point you have to ask, who's driving? And do they even see where they're going?" That statement went viral online. Women started utilizing the phrase in captions, posts, and comment sections, and even celebrities joined in. Portia reposted the video with the caption, "This is why we need cameras because," while Candy Burris uploaded it with a city emoji. "It's not just drama. This is healing." Back at home, Mendeecees was going downhill. He told producer Mona Scott Young in a private conversation that Mike overheard, "She truly don't need me anymore, huh?" "She never did," Mona said. "She chose you, and now she's selecting herself." The fact that both sides had ceased communicating, no texts, no late-night calls, no apologies, and that the reunion filming was just a few weeks away worried him more than anything else. Yandy concentrated on her enterprises, her children, and her therapy. The guy who had pleaded for a second chance was now drowning in the silence his own pride created. Despite all the anguish, Mendeecees remained low-key, allegedly shunning cast meetings and evading storyline suggestions. Even his pals could see it. Never once mentioned divorce, but the silence made fans even more anxious because it seemed as though she didn't need to. The distance was loud enough, and by the time the reunion tape was scheduled, Yandy and Mendeecees' energy had entirely changed from hurt to happiness. They came in separate cars, hired separate glam teams, and were mic'd in separate rooms for the first time in the show's history. The producers had to make last-minute changes to the seating chart. Distance. And not just emotional distance, physical, professional, even spiritual. Yandy reportedly told Mona, "I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, but I'm not going to fake peace where there's none, after she asked not to sit next to him. The reunion set was tense. The typical cast jokes, side looks, and laughter were vanished. Spice, Carly, and even Erica were abnormally silent. And everyone's eyes were on Yandy and Mendeecees as they entered the stage from opposite sides. It was obvious that something had broken and would not be put back together before the end of the program. Without wasting any time, host Nina Parker asked, Yandy Mendeecees, fans have been following your journey for over 10 years. Something changed this season. Where are you to now? Yandy's reaction was composed but heartbreaking. We're not enemies. We're two people who gave everything to each other and forgot to keep anything for ourselves. We're not lovers or even friends at this point. Mendy notices that the audience was completely silent. Yandy looked down as he cleared his throat, saying, I made mistakes. I held back when I should have leaned in, but I never stopped loving her. Sometimes love isn't loud enough. A montage of poignant scenes including the rooftop fight, the therapy session, the hotel altercation, and something completely different, a private letter Mendeecees had written to Yandy following their final day of filming followed. Producers were granted permission to broadcast the letter live, with his voice narrating over B-roll footage of their nuptials, the children, and vintage sequences from Love and Hip Hop New York. Dear Yandy, you gave me time when I gave you prison bars. You gave me stillness when I gave you grace. You gave me loyalty when I gave you mess. If this is the end, thank you for loving me when I didn't know how to love myself. The audience, castmates, and even Yandy herself shed tears when asked if it changed anything. I see you now, not as the lady who kept me down, but the woman I should have raised up. She shook her head saying, it's beautiful, but healing comes with boundaries. Sometimes love is letting go, not holding tighter. Even Mendeecees was broken at that moment, and fans who were watching live flocked to Twitter in waves. After the break, Mendeecees was asked one last question. If you could go back to that sit-down, the one where it all broke apart. Yandy is grieving a love that couldn't develop, and we're all feeling it. We just saw a marriage fall apart in slow motion. What would you say differently? He said, after a lengthy pause. I wouldn't talk. I would hear. It was the quietest conclusion to the loudest love story in love and hip-hop, with Yandy not looking back and Mans not pursuing her as the reunion lights faded and the ensemble left the stage. Fans weren't asking if they would reunite as the credits rolled. Instead, they were wondering if Yandy even wanted him back. Atlanta history. No dramatic exits, no second chances, just a woman regaining her peace, and a guy left carrying the weight of too many lost moments. In the weeks after the reunion, Yandy unfollowed Mendeecees on all social media, which shocked their devoted fan base. She removed nearly all of his pictures from her grid, leaving only those that featured their kids. She revealed mysterious sayings, such as you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. In the meantime, Mendeecees remained radio silent, and closure is choosing yourself, even when you never got an apology. The women and the internet both understood. There was only one black and white picture of him with the comment, I lost a real one, and no updates or lives. You didn't lose her. You let her leave, but by then the remarks had already turned against him. You can't create a kingdom off quiet, therefore you should have paid attention while she was still speaking. The criticism came quickly, and even some of his followers began to remove themselves. VH1 was already working on the teaser video for season 14. Mendeecees was not included in the advertisement as all. Instead, Yandy's solo arc, business rebranding, mentoring young girls, and the introduction of the podcast Still Standing were highlighted.